Hello everyone, I'm Mike Toledo, your host on Dent Time PDR, a podcast about PDR training, tutorials, interviews, and much more. So get something to eat, drink, and start pushing. It's time to listen. All right, guys, before I get into the podcast, I want to mention that I am going to be at a special seminar in Canada, May 16th through the 18th, brought to you by PDR Canada. It is their first event called PDR Repair Secrets. They're also going to have the IMI certification. Vince D'Alessandro, my good buddy, is obviously going to be certifying you guys if you end up going. I heard it's pretty much almost sold out, so get your tickets. Check out PDR Canada, info at pdrcanada.ca. Now they're going to have some techniques about finishing dents. It's called PDR Repair Secrets. They're going to have Don Kavanaugh, a body line blending specialist, Jean, who's won the last 2 out of 3 dental Olympics, actually the dent repair contest. You're going to see a lot of different things, so you should join us. And the IMI certification, as I mentioned already, brought to you by that part from Anson themselves, along with TDN Group. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of hands-on. I invite you to come. You should check it out. Again, info at pdrcanada.ca. All right, this is going to be an interesting topic. It's something I get quite often talking about. Well, how good are the videos? Can I learn PDR completely through video? And in the early days, I really believed you really couldn't back then, because there was just very little what you could learn off of. But my main objective back then was to at least help understand and help the public educate about how PDR was done. But apparently a lot of people were learning off of what I was showing and demonstrating back in the day of how I was able to read a line board and how the dent was coming out. So I'll get into how I'm going to tell a story about how I got into PDR video period. How I started doing PDR videos, and then how Dent Trainer came along, and now video training versus personal PDR training. What is right for you, and the pros and cons. So we're going to talk about that, and maybe this will help you decide if this is a complete fit. Is this something that you want to really jump into? Because there are pros and cons, and I'm going to be quite honest about them. So we'll dig right in. So here we go. Here is the story about this is how I got into. Now you've heard the story about how I got into PDR, but how did I get into producing videos, doing videos, constantly a lot, and now it's a marketing staple, right? I mean, if you are in any way doing video or have a PDR business, you've stumbled across doing a video at some point, right? Everyone has capabilities of video now on their phone, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. There is a video platform. I knew since 2006 when I got into when I got into videoing, I knew this was going to be the main platform eventually. It might not have been the platform back then, but I had a deep feeling, and my intuition was right, is that PDR was going to be eventually soaked up by video. And here we are today in 2019, which is pretty much a lot of video. So not only is this going to help open your eyes about training, but your marketing skills and the way you market your company, this might eventually help kind of put it in perspective. All right. So the story goes, back in early 2006, I get a tech that I train. His name's Gonzo. And yes, that's a real name. Funny guy, from Mexico City, He ended up going back. He doesn't do PDR anymore. He ended up taking care of his father's ranch. He inherited some money back then, and he's out living well in Mexico City. But anyways, he goes, Mike, I've got a friend named Bira, and he's Brazilian, cool guy, and I still know him today. He wants to shoot some video of you because he thinks the service of what we do is just very intriguing and amazing. He'd like to just do a video and put it on YouTube. I said, YouTube? What is that? Oh, that's where, people upload videos and people like it or they don't like it and they comment and yada yada. And I had no idea what that was. But in a short summary, I got together with this guy, Bira, and he said, hey, I'd like to shoot a video of you. And he did. And he shot really professional way. I remember it was on a Panasonic camcorder, but a real nice one, not a huge one, but a real nice high definition HDV cassette recorder. And he took some video and he said, okay, I want you to come over to my studio in downtown and we'll do a voiceover and I want you to speak. I was like, wow, you want me to speak? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, it's going to be interesting. So I get to his studio and go into his office. He had, I guess him and his partner had a big hosting company too. They had a bunch of servers in the back with air conditioning, but in this another room, he had this video studio, and it was quite compact, but very effective little studio, really nice and professional. And lo and behold, he sits me down, he puts on a mic in there, and he starts, he goes, okay, here, this is what you need to say, and yada, yada, talk about your video. And so I just do a take, and he'd record it, and I was like, wait a minute, what is that? What kind of computer is that? And I just saw it was like just a big old aluminum case and a separate big monitor, but the screen just looked, everything he was doing was intuitive. It was like if he threw something away out of the trash, or if he went out or something on the screen, it did what it did. It wasn't like Windows where you had to do 3 steps to make something work. It was just, the Mac was crazy. And I asked him, I said, what is that? And obviously I just gave it away. And he says, it's a Mac. I said, a Mac? Talking like Apple? He's like, yeah. I said, shoot, man, I thought Apple was created in the 70s and went out in the 80s. I didn't even know they make those. And he started laughing. He's like, no, man, this is a staple for video editing. And I was just super intrigued about how, and amazed that he was going to create a professional video right then and there from his computer, from an Apple computer. One that I thought was secondary. I thought you had to buy a giant Windows and stuff. So I was intrigued, and so I did the voiceover, and I was amazed how he did it, and it was great. I go, holy crap! I mean, that's like a commercial to me. So he said he put it on YouTube, and lo and behold, it started getting lots and lots of views and lots of comments and lots of comments, and I was like, shoot, man! I was like, great. So I started looking into more Macs, and Apple. And every time I went into Apple, it was always a crowd. It was just different. Not everybody knew about Apple because none of the iWatches, no Apple phone yet. There was nothing like that. Okay. Apple iPhone didn't come out for another year and a half later in late 2007, somewhere around there. But it was still their Mac computers. Back then it was iPod. Yeah, they had iPods and their Mac Pros. Now, iMovie today, or not even iMovie, Final Cut today, some of you guys would know, some of you guys are familiar with Final Cut, some of you aren't, but Final Cut Apple back then was not even close to what it was today, as easy as it is today to use. Back then, it was a real production linear editing software. I mean, it came in this huge thing, and if anybody knows me, I go all in, regardless if I know anything or not about it. I'm just going to go ahead and learn on the fly. Well, this took a long learning curve for me to learn on the fly. I jump in to this platform and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I bought this video camera this camcorder, big Canon camcorder, with my friend David, who you probably see on one of the first PDR training videos I've done. And still to this day, it's still a staple in learning the line board 101. So that's what the name of the video is. But anyways, I got way over my head and I got into PDR, started doing tutorials, because without tutorials, how could anybody really understand what you were doing, right? So I would explain in a way, thinking I was talking to the public about my service, but really who was really learning was the guys who wanted to do PDR. And I started getting tons of more feedback about it. So I said, you know what, maybe I should just concentrate a little on the basics. And then when that got further, I saw other schools creating training for people, but it was, we all know there's some schools out there that are actually out there to help a student to really succeed. And then there's most of them out there are not. They're in it for the money. They don't give a crap really about the success of the student. And it's themselves first and the student second. So that is the main story. And I started getting more and more involved in not only promoting my company, but doing PDR training tutorials and doing them right. Because as I taught and trained, I understood what needed to be done in a video to a certain point. And then we're going to talk about the pros and cons about video versus personal training. And there you have it. That's how I got into it. And then we'll get into a little bit later about Dent Trainer, about how that came about. But as some of you know, or most of you know, that I co-founded Dent Trainer along with John Hiley, and that has become a very helpful platform, regardless if you're a newbie or a veteran PDR tech. There's something there for you, regardless if it's business, marketing, learning PDR from the basics, understanding the tools, advanced techniques, and even tool discounts, PDR tool discounts. So it's a great site. So if you want to check it out, denttrainer.com, you'll learn a lot. So I'm not going to go too deep more into how I created Dent Trainer. That's going to probably be another topic. And I'd really like to bring John on for that one. So my business partner. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but we founded Dent Trainer in 2014 and it took off, and we put a lot of work, and we continue to do a lot of work in there, stuff. A lot of you guys probably said, well, Mike, you probably fell off of YouTube. You don't put a lot of videos out there on YouTube. Well, I owe a lot of responsibility to the members at Dent Trainer. I could easily put a lot of videos out there, but I think the main benefit to the people who are serious about learning are the ones who pay for the knowledge. And that's why I put a lot of my effort, and a lot of my videos are on Dent Trainer. I put teasers. Sometimes I'll put a whole episode of a training video on YouTube, but not often. So I got a couple coming out for it, just to let you guys know I still got it. I still got my skills. The way I teach is unique. So I think it's an advantage to see the videos, but I have not fallen off at all. Not one bit. So if anybody's wondering, like, and you don't put out as many videos as you used to on YouTube. Yes, you're right. And no, I haven't fallen off, but I will be putting out some cool content. And every once in a while I do something live that's just intriguing. I just do whatever I feel is necessary. I don't do what people want me to do. Okay. I do what makes me happy and what I think is going to benefit based on my own experience. So if anybody's a little butthurt about me not being able to put as many videos out on YouTube, I'm sorry. There are other people out there putting some good videos out there though too. So there's a guy named Christopher Ray, Ryan Shutt, Dave O from Windy City, the Dentless guys, the PDR Workshop fellas. I got to give them a shout. They're doing a great job, up and coming, and doing a really fantastic job helping the industry and keeping this part of the PDR thing very entertaining and informative. So check them out. So let's get into now the real topic: video training versus personal. So video. Okay, so we're going to go through the pros, and then I'll touch base on the pros each individually. Okay, so the pros of video training. Okay, you go at your own pace. So there's no commitment. There's no pressure if this is right for you or not. A low cost investment. So you are only paying, anywhere between less than $100 to, $500 for the year. Very low investment. In most cases, if they're produced right, which on denttrainer.com they keep you in good habit. In other words, like how to move your board. Are you looking at the right reflection? What are you seeing versus what you shouldn't be seeing? A lot of tips and tricks in the videos, okay? Good advice when it comes to tool choices. So you're not kind of guessing at what you should buy. You're seeing tools that really work. And professional PDR tools, you're not, hey, here's a set, and you don't know what any of them are used for. So that's a good way to measure yourself when on video. And you see various techniques, as I mentioned, tech tips, different ways to do dents. There's hundreds of different ways to do a dent, to be honest with you. You just got to find your own way that you like and you're comfortable with. The cons of a video training: no physical feel, meaning like you don't know how hard you're really supposed to push, but are you pushing correctly, or are you doing too much twisting, not enough pushing? There's things like that. You could develop bad habits. So you think you're doing it right, but nobody's seeing you do it, and they don't know. You don't know if you're doing it right or wrong. You're struggling. And if you're struggling, you probably do have some bad habits in there. And I wouldn't say they're necessarily habits. It's just your technique is not as good as it would be if you're doing personal training. The other thing is it's a slow learning curve. Okay. Video training is a very slow learning curve. Like I said, I'm not saying that you can't do it, but the learning curve is much slower versus personal. Nobody's supervising for an instant correcting. So I already kind of mentioned that as well. So those are kind of the pros and cons. Video has come a long way. Okay. The way I shoot it I think is unique. I know people are trying to come out with their own training videos out there, and you'll see, if you see my videos back in the day, early days, the way I teach it is unique up to now, because I see people, I wouldn't say copying it, but it's pretty similar, okay, in certain things that some people are doing. But the way I want, there's a difference between passion and trying to make money off of you, okay? So here's the deal with me. I'm going to be real up front, guys. I've been consistent my whole career. I've been consistent. If you go back and look at 2006 videos, how I was to 2019, I'm consistent. I'm not somebody, never different. You can always count on me to be the same person, and know that I'm very passionate about this industry. Some of you guys might say, well, you're making money. Well, that's what happens eventually. It's, for years, I gave my content away. If you want to see years, if you don't believe me, go on denttime.com, go to my blogs, go look at all those posts up to I have blog posts that are 2010, 2008, 2006. I was putting out stuff like that. Shoot, there's a blog called denttime.blog that I don't even maintain anymore, but it's a blog out there. And there's tons of good content on there. So I've always been doing stuff to help the industry. And eventually, if anybody reaches that point, then yes, they're going to monetize it. And it's just something that's eventually going to happen. That's what you do. And you can't you can't live off of free the whole 9 yards. And the main thing is that the value of what I give is huge compared to what really I get back. Okay. So, some people might think otherwise, but again, it's all about being consistent. So I didn't mean to go off too much on there, but I want to get something straight there. I mean, I really, really am passionate about it. And then I really want to help the industry. And when I teach and when I say something, I really want that person to succeed. I have a student right now. He's quiet. He's doing a great job. He glassed out a ding, or a nice shot, on a rail. I wouldn't say a door ding where he's able to push it out. He had to glue pull it out, and he did an awesome job. The proof is in the pudding. Okay. I do have that on video too, by the way. So that brings me into personal training. Okay. So let's do the pros, and then we'll do the cons. Okay. The pros. Now, this is all pertaining to a good trainer. This isn't just talking about myself. Okay. There are some decent trainers out there. I wouldn't say a lot, less than a few. Okay. Maybe 3 to 5. I'm going to say that 3 to 5, maybe. Okay. Pros again. Okay. Instantly correcting bad habits. So if you're doing something wrong, boom. Like for instance, for me, I can correct you. Okay. Hey, you know what? You have the board too close, or you're going with a too sharp of a tool too soon. Things like that. Okay. Learning curve is superior. Okay. I mean, there is no doubt about it. And that brings up another point to me. So someone brought attention up to me about a video. There's a certain person that's doing training videos on YouTube, and one of the guys said, well, I just got out of school and I'm having a hard time with this and yada, yada. And what the person replied to him, he says, basic training is a waste of time. Now, this person is actually teaching PDR through video, and he said that the basic training is a waste of time. So let me put that in perspective for you. Let's just say this person went for 4 weeks they didn't, but let's just say they went to 4 weeks with me, and we have another student who's starting at the same time. I have him in a different room watching anybody's videos, including mine. Let's just say Dent Trainer, I give him access to any video he wishes, but no physical personal training. I can tell you right now, in 4 weeks, the person that's doing the personal training is going to mop over the person who's learning through video. I annihilate them. I mean, from glue pulling to big dents to finishing, body lines, creases, you name it. 4 weeks. Now, that personal training student might not glass everything out, but I'll tell you what, he's not going to wreck anything. He's going to be much cleaner and at least understands what he needs to perfect compared to what he's confused on or doesn't understand, because that's what it's about. Like when you're doing video training, if you're not paying attention and you're not going slow, you're going to confuse yourself. If you jump around, that's another thing. If you're jumping around from video to video and you're not going technically in the order you should, you're going to confuse yourself. Because a lot of this learning for PDR is about patience, control. Slow and steady wins the race. Slower is faster. All those things pertain to how well you're going to learn PDR. And that also goes back to your thinking. So we'll get to that too as well. We'll cover that. All right, we're still on pros of personal training. You get to use the latest PDR tools. Now, this isn't always the case for different schools or personal trainers. Some guys they like a certain amount of tools, certain brand, and that's what you're going to be stuck with using. Or they're trying to sell you tools that they're trying to make money off. When people come to me and training, I don't make a dime off any of the tools. I just advise you, hey, I got all these tools. Go see these tool manufacturers. Here's what works. Here's what I like. Here's what I have duplicates of. You try them. and then you buy. You decide what you like. That's how the training works with me. I don't make a dang dime. I give a substantial good discount if they want some Ultra Dent tools. I contact all the manufacturers. I'll contact Dentcraft, PDR Finesse, Stanliner, you name it. James Lee, Limit Dent. If they want Stucky stuff, I'll help them out and try to get them a discount if those guys allow. Carbon Tech, it is a huge benefit to have the advantage to work with different tools, because we all know tools these days make a huge difference on how well your repairs come out clean, because you're not spending a lot of cleanup time at the end of your 10 to 15%. All right. So, and sorry for the long pause right there. You're not guessing on how to use the tools as well. So you might see a tool that's kind of like a Stanliner tool, right? You get a tool and like you've seen that tool and you're like, what the hell is this used for? And what's the first thing you say? That's junk, or that blah, blah, blah. But we all know it's because you don't understand it. So of course you're going to make some comments like that. But on video, even though you see myself or John or someone else maybe's video and you're seeing them use a tool and they're not explaining it enough, or maybe they are, but physically you haven't been able to know how to use it. How much pressure should you put on? Are you twisting it? Are you rocking it a different way? Did you side load it the wrong way? Are you supposed to push straight on the tip? Oh, were you supposed to retape? Did the tape bust through? You don't know, right? So that's the great thing about personal PDR training. You get to see those things right away and understand them right then and there at that moment. Learning how to market. Now, again, this isn't something that every course or every school, every personal trainer is going to teach you. Hopefully they do, but you know that's I'm speaking for myself. So if you, I'm not going to talk for anyone else. I'm going to speak for myself. I know not every school does this. At least the last two things I've been saying. They don't offer in-depth marketing, which I do. Okay. Understanding PDR pricing. Okay. I don't encourage any tech to lowball anybody at any time, nor do I just lowball, period. I don't want that. Because my belief is if you charge a high enough price, you're going to do a much better job, because the carrot is still dangling in front of you. The minute that you don't charge it enough and you realize that, what happens in the middle of the repair or even in the start repair? You realize, oh man, I hit a brace. Oh man, it's aluminum. Oh man. Your motivation to do a great job just goes right down the toilet. And so does the repair. So does the outcome. Nobody wins in that situation. And it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or you're a newbie. You got to set your price. And that's why a price guide is going to help you set the base price, and then you can do the add-ons. If you're going to cut down a price, you're going to cut down on the add-ons. Maybe, okay, it's 25% aluminum. I got to do 25% R&I. Well, I'll tell you what, sir, I'll take 10% off this part and 15% off this part, but you're never going below your base, and you're still getting a great price. And the customer thinks that they're getting a good deal. Again, that's another topic, but quick summary about how I teach that as well. Working on real cars in real environments. That's a big one too. There's no, unless there's a specific panel that I have, like I have at the shop, I have aluminum hail hoods. So 1 or 2 days, the tech is on there, but he doesn't start on a hood. I just want to let you know that. Doing a top panel, if I start my student on a top panel right away, then they're so used to it. When they go on the side, they're like, it's lost. It's so hard. It's way easier to transition from a side panel to a top panel. So going on real cars, they get to touch every part of the panel of the vehicle. We get to go on real field trips at the dealerships, so he can work on the car. You know, all this is the person is working. Okay, they're actually doing work. They're constantly pushing, not watching, unless they want to watch a specific dent, or if a customer comes in once in a while and they'll see how the technique is done. but it's not constant working. That's the same thing. I'm not constantly making money. Eventually, I do bring customers in and have him work on it, or if it's a walk-in, then we'll do it. But it's not very often. I do schedule my appointments by appointment only. And you can start your career right away after training. Again, I'm speaking for myself because that is the point. That's the point. It's not, I don't want anybody to feel that they're not confident in doing what they need to do about PDR. If they're not confident, then I feel like I didn't do my job. I want to make sure that they're very confident in what they do. Now, there's some people that they just don't have confidence, okay? But they have the skill. They just got to believe in themselves. And that could be you. Maybe you've already gone to PDR course, but you know how to take a dent out, but you don't have the confidence to get your butt out there and do it. I think eventually after you learn how to do PDR, your biggest challenge is going to be marketing yourself, believing that you can actually do those repairs, glass your repairs. And I'm telling you, the more pressure you put on yourself, the better you're going to perform. And that's the real dang darn truth, because the real experiences is getting the experience, learning from it. And a saying that I've always said in the PDR business, you never lose, okay? You never lose in PDR. You either win or you learn. And in most cases, you do both. But you really have to believe in yourself. That's with everything, any kind of business. So the cons, let's talk about the cons of personal training. It's a big damn investment. It's a big investment. And you cannot be not sure about yourself. I mean, it's okay to doubt like what's going to happen, the outcome. But if you really, really are super like, you don't feel like, man, you don't got that urge like you're going to do it, then don't do it. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not easy to learn. You'd want to do your research, huge, because it's a huge investment. It's probably one of your biggest investments personally, coming out of your own pocket, because there's a lot of things that go with that investment. Okay. And we're going to get to that. You have to travel in most cases. So if you want to go to me and you're in the cross country or you're in a different country, you're going to have to travel. That's another thing too, is a lot of people are like, well, do you have anybody closer to me? Do you know anybody closer to me? Right then and there, I know they're not serious. I'm like, unfortunately, man, I don't. And that's the truth. In most cases, I don't know anybody near them that could train as good as me or someone else I know, a few other people I know, that I could recommend. And that's the truth. It's not because I'm trying to be selfish and I want them to only come to me. But if you're looking for somebody that's close to you, you already made a mistake right there. Or the cost is too much. You rather go to someone cheaper. That is really crazy. I'll go to someone cheaper because I can't afford Mike. Dude, you don't want the best you don't want the best quality of training. I'm like, if I had a chance to go to Gale and I could afford it and I know I'm going to get the best education, why would I go to my community college because it's closer and it's cheaper? I'm not going to even come close to getting the best education or get a job when I get out there because I don't have the experience or the teachers that are able to get me to the best to my ability. So, and I'm not trying to sound like, I'm the best of all best, but I want to, how I train is very relaxed. Okay. It's very relaxed. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not over your shoulder every second. So if you think that's the way I train, I don't. I have a unique way how I train people, and it works. And it works. I have a very good track record on that. Now, it sounds like I'm pitching it. And I am. I'm pitching myself, but I'm not going to lie either. I know how to train people, and this is some things that you guys need to check out too. Now, I'm not saying, hold on, let me back this up. I'm not saying that trainers should leave you alone. What I'm saying is that they should let you technically explore a bit, but not too much. It's kind of like, hey, yeah, you can go off the beaten path, but don't get lost. That's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm watching you, but I'm making sure that you're not getting lost. And that's how we do it. We'll stay on maybe a over the shoulders, hour, 2 hours. Boom, you got an assignment. Let's see what you do. Okay, let me see let's evaluate. What do you think? Now you got that out pretty clean. Now, what do you think you did to get that to that point? Now, here's another technique on how to use it. Here's a different tool on how to get to a different point. So there's a lot of little details that make a student successful in their repairs. I don't want to tell a customer, a student, hey, you need to push here. No, you need to push here every second. That's not training. That's dictating. That's the dictating training. He's not going to know if he's actually doing it right if he doesn't do it himself. So there's a base, then there's the alone time, and then there's where, okay, it's time for the lesson. Let's see you push. Let's do a thing. And another thing, I don't move my students on until they actually really consistently do a type of dent on a type of panel, on a type of whatever it is. Maybe it's glue pulling, maybe it's tapping down, pushing, deep dents, whatever it is, but they've got to know how to glass a dent before they can really move on to a separate and more advanced technique. All right, another thing, the cons is, unfortunately, is sacrificing time away from your family, 2 to 4 weeks minimum. That is probably one of the biggest cons, in my opinion, because it really does. It's especially if you have kids and the wifey's holding down the fort at home while you're training. You're thinking about the family. She's going through stress. She's got to take the kids. She's got to hold down everything. Everything. I know that's a big commitment, and that's part of the big investment. All those things right there is what I'm referring to. And that's why you have to make sure that PDR is going to be for you, because if you're going to put your family in a sacrifice position, you're going to take an investment that puts a toll on everybody, a stress on you and the family. Another thing, truthfully, there's a chance you can't make it. There's a chance you can't make it in PDR. And I've gone over this situation with PDR about if you can't make it. Generally, the number one reason that you can't make it is because you go back to your other job. Or you put 10% of effort and 90% of everything else into like your work, your family. I'm not saying family's important. We all know family's important. But if you're doing anything else besides PDR, beyond family and church and God and family, it should be family, God, family, but they're right there neck and neck. So I would say they're both one: God, family, and PDR. There you go. If you can't grasp that, you can't understand that that's what you need to do, then do the video training. See if it's something really you like. And then see if that's something you're willing to make a commitment to better yourself and to get further. And it's always harder than you think. I don't care what you say, what anybody says. I have people contact me religiously saying, well, I work with my hands. I'm very good with my hands. I can pick this up, blah, blah, blah. And that's another reason why they fail too, is because they really think, and that doesn't happen very often to me. I don't get that many people like that. I get people that mention it, but I talk them out of it right away, because it's not as easy as you think. And if you're a body man or if you're a painter, PDR has nothing to do with what you've been doing. Nothing. It is totally different. Way, way different. I'm just being quite honest. And I'm trying to help you make a decision, because maybe if you listen to this podcast and you're dabbling into PDR and you're listening to my podcast, or maybe you got somebody that you're thinking about sending to training, first of all, they got to want to train. You don't want to send anybody to any school or myself if they don't want to learn it. If you're sending it to them because you wish that they could go and then they can make you money, that's the wrong reason. You got to make sure that they want to go. And if you're talking about yourself, if you want to go, you got to make sure that you're ready to go and committed. And the other last one is you're nervous about doing it for real. So after your training or during your training, you're getting closer. Here's what happens with my students. Okay. They're excited in the beginning, like super excited, and they should be. I mean, they're thinking about, what the could be, what should be. Halfway through the training, it's getting crunch time. All of a sudden they go from happy to like they're rolling their eyes back, they're like, oh, they're kind of getting nervous, right? Third week comes rolling past. Now it's coming into fourth week, and it's like, oh shit, I'm going to be doing PDR. I have to go do PDR. I have to train. It's the most biggest nervous thing that you've seen. How do I know? Because I train for a living. Every student goes through this. Every person who wants to do this for a living and is for real goes through these emotions. And I know, because some of you guys are laughing and going, holy crap, that's how I felt. That's how I felt, dude. And I know. It just tells you my experience too. And you'll thank me, because maybe you'll go to someone else, and you heard this podcast, or maybe you'll come to me and you heard the podcast. You're like, man, Mike, when you said, about being nervous, 100% true. Every guy who wants to succeed, or woman, will feel and have that emotion. If you don't have any of those nervous butterflies, then you shouldn't be doing it, because you should. It's natural for you to do that. And that's not necessarily a con in a way, honestly, if you look at it that way. If you look at it the other way, you should be concerned. You should be. And that's a good trait, because you really care about what your outcome is. But if you pay attention, work hard, bust your ass afterwards, you'll do well. And I don't mean practicing. Practicing, let me tell you, that is a overstated word in the PDR school dictionary. Okay. That's an scapegoat for saying when you're not doing that good, they throw it back on you. Well, you got to practice. You got to practice. Practice is bullcrap. Practice is when you're already there. Perfect. You got to perfect, and you got to bust your butt, work hard, and go out and get some real cars, your friends' cars, your own car, not door panels, not hood stands, real cars, and work on them. Work on anybody's car. But here's the thing, you should always charge. That's just the way I would do it, because if you had two cars identical, one free, one you're going to charge, the dents are in the same spot. One's your friend's car, one's your paying customer car. Which one do you really think you're going to do a good job? And they're both hard. I guarantee you, if they're hard and it was your friend's car, you wouldn't do a good job, or you'd quit. But the customer car, you're caring about your reputation, you're getting paid, and you want to do a good job, right? I think I already said that, but you want to do a good job, you're getting paid, and it forces you, and you're under pressure. You're under pressure. And those three things make you perform much better. So that's it. I mean, that's the pros and cons of video training and personal training. It's technically is like, okay, video training is like, okay, I'm thinking about it. I want to, I'm talking about newbies now. I'm not talking about the veterans. The veterans, it's a win, period. Okay. Because you can definitely keep learning different things, regardless if it's tools or not. But for newbies, video training is something that it's a low investment. It's something you can dabble in. It's kind of like a low investment. You're kind of watching your pennies, but you're thinking about it. Maybe you're a body guy. Maybe you want to learn push to paint. Maybe you want to flag more hours and less time. Video training is going to be great for you. It's going to be great for you. Okay, you're going to learn a lot. But if you really want to take it to another step, then you want to do personal PDR training. And you've got to do your research. And here's another thing too. Just because someone's great at PDR, the wrong thing to do is ask them to train you. Because if they're a busy guy, you don't want them doing dents while you're watching them. That's not learning. I did that training. It's called With My Stepdad. Listen to podcast number 2. That was the wrong way to train. Do it right or don't do it at all. Save your money until you can afford it or have the budget to do it right. But at least dabble in it. Go check out denttrainer.com. You'll be glad you did. They're way, way good videos. They're not YouTube videos. They're way better. So that's my take. I'm out of here. I don't want to go too long on it. So I gotta go dinner with the wifey. So I'll catch you guys on the next podcast. You guys have any questions, you just hit me up on the messages on Instagram. Hit me up there. You can hit me up. That's Instagram with the handle Dent Time. Facebook Dent Time. Okay. I will reply back. Have no worries. Okay. And if you like this podcast, please subscribe on iTunes. Give me a review and let me know what you think. All right. I'll talk to you later. See you.